A while ago, I came across a description of marriage in one particular Aboriginal culture. Later on, I came across a few more details in my reading and realized that the initial picture I got was very wrong. But the incorrect version was pretty interesting, and I ended up doing some world building. Women get promised in marriage before they are even born, and once they come of age, they get married to their fiancé, who's always much older than them. Then decades pass, the husband gets old and dies, and the widow marries a young man. The young women are all either married or engaged, so a widow is the only marriage option a young man has. Then decades pass, she gets old and dies, and by this point the now older man can get someone to promise their daughter to him. When she comes of age, she marries him. Then decades pass, the husband gets old and dies, and the widow marries a young man. And it carries on like that, forever. So you could almost say that this marriage is not a time-bound relationship between two people, but something that exists outside of them and is eternal. The participants of this marriage keep changing, but the marriage itself remains forever constant, so it could be represented by a permanent external object, which is owned by the couple involved in the marriage, and every marriage could be named after its representation, like the big rock marriage, the small pond marriage, or the old oak marriage. And I guess a whole piece of private property could belong to the marriage, and not just the marriage object, so children might inherit some property from their parents, but they cannot lay claim to anything that belongs to the marriage. If a widow or a widower dies before remarriage, then that marriage will still remain alive, because the marriage object is still around. Maybe there's a ceremony of some sort to pass the marriage on to a new custodian, but if a marriage object is destroyed, then the marriage itself is gone. And with a limited amount of marriages, they could end up dwindling down to a tiny number over time, but I don't like the sound of that, so maybe sometimes brand new marriages get created with much fanfare. So this is all I have, and I don't know if I want to invent a whole new world to house this one small idea. So let's say that these marriages exist in the world where people use land canoes. The two ideas go together well, I think.